Good morning, everyone. This is the September 20th high school assessment coordinators meeting, the first of the year. So we're kind of going to get rolling, just getting things moving and making sure that we have questions queued up that we're working on. And I've got a couple of them uh, that I know that you have in the back of your mind. I also know that in talking with some of the people who are on here first, not sure that 7:30 is going to be the right time. I'm not sure there's any right time, but we may just switch to a 2:30 or so time frame for next month and see how that works. So, as always, if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. If not, we'll be after we're all done. We will hang out for a little while and turn off the recording, and you can answer any questions that you like. So I'm going to jump right into the slide presentation for this morning. All right. So what we're going to cover today, besides the agenda date being wrong, we're going to just introduce people because this department has changed through reorganization here in central office. Also, we'll take a look at some of the resources. I know many of you know where all this stuff is, but not everybody. So we'll take a look at that, talk about how to connect with us. Current assessments in the field are Achieve 3000 and the civics exam. We'll talk about those. There will be changes this year to the AP exam registration process. So we just want to highlight those changes, and we'll make sure that we spend a little bit of time on that. Long range things going on that we need to discuss, ACT and pre-ACT secure. Finally, the next thing coming up for schools is the climate survey. We'll also just talk about some reminders in general, things that we typically cover in our meetings. So, as I said, we are a part of a new department. And so there have been some changes here. We used to be in assessment and learning supports. We are now in a department called Research, Assessment, and Improvement, and we have grown our team. So I want to welcome Jamie Anderson to our assessment team. So it's myself, Sarah, and Jamie. So as she's coming up to speed with all the different assessments, and she will be helping support both Sarah and I, but also you as we go through the year. New to us this year from Student Services is Stacy Will. Welcome. And again, apologize that it's so early. We'll change that, I think, for the next time. And finally, continuing on from multilingual programs, Ben Kolash. So if we have any EL questions, etc., he is going to be the person we connect with. So these are the teams, the people that are supporting us and are supporting you in all the assessments as we go through the year. If you have questions at any time for any of us, please make sure you ask them. So I want to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the resources that we have for you, because it's always a good thing to put things in front of you that are important for you, that you can find in an easy way. We do have an assessment website, and we'll go to that in just a moment. It's got two sides, one for families and one for staff only. Nothing secretive about the staff only. It's just that there's more stuff there. Families don't really need to know all the ins and outs of administration of assessments, but most everything that is available to you on the staff only side, many things are available on the public side. But key is also a coordinator's resource page. So I will have the slide deck, I will have the running agenda posted there. And then once this meeting is done, I will finish up recording it, making sure it's all set, and then post it there. So if you want to go back for a segment, or if you completely missed a meeting, no worries. We are all crazy busy. So that's why we're doing this. That's why we're putting this together as a resource for you. Keep in mind that IIQ is a great place for technical questions. I know that many of us go there to take care of things, but there are other ways of connecting with us. I'm just going to quickly do go to the website actually before I go into some of these other ways of doing this. So this is the assessment website. So if you go to mmsd.org/assessments, or in the upper blue bar here, if you go to departments, you will be able to see, maybe the drop down will give you the assessment department. Either way, you can see the three major themes. We're still building out the rest of this web page, but this is our department: research, assessment, and improvement. We have a team that's working on local or school-based improvements. So they're in support of SIPs, as well as data use. And that is led by Lindsay Mitchell, formerly Lindsay Malio. The assessment team, you're here with us, and the research team is more a systemic approach to the systems, the large-scale district improvement process, and that is also where you would go if you have questions about data, need some data pulled for you. But as we scroll down the screen, you can see that we've got over here on the left-hand side, we've got information for families as well as for staff. We, on the right-hand side, are calendars that are up to date, and towards the bottom, as we go, we're not going to spend a lot of time today, but if you ever want to spend some time talking about federal ESSA identification, such as these, you might have heard letters being thrown around, TSI and ATSI. All that information is here for you. I can also spend some time with you and your leadership team or anyone in your school that is interested in that. So if we go to the staff-only high school page, and you'll see that it's set up that assessments by grade. And what I do want to say is, if you find outdated information, if you find dead links, please let me know. I do want to take care of that. There are many pages to this site, and so I want to make sure that we stay up to date on them. So please let me know, and we'll go from there. Towards the bottom of this page, you see resources. So there's the high school assessment calendar. Here's the coordinator resource page. Please note that I've also been started meeting with the advanced placement coordinators, so they have a resource page. And then finally, if you want to know assessments by name, here they are. You can just click on those rather than going through up here where it's set up by grade. So if we go to the assessment coordinators resource page, this is the one that's very similar to what we've had in the past. I've got the running agenda linked here, today's slides. This is where the recording will be. I'll be putting other information in here as we go through the year. Things that you might find useful but get lost in the shuffle of everything. Finally, the coordinator test window calendar. So if you want to know, this is high school specific, if you want to know what the windows are for different assessments, click on the plus, and that will be added to, this calendar is going to be added to your Google Calendar. Finally, you've got past resources and past meetings linked below. So if you're really bored and want to make sure you have nothing to do and you want to fall asleep, you can watch meetings from the past couple years. Okay. All right. So now if you want quicker turnaround in getting questions answered, we've set up several emails. Some of these it doesn't matter, but others it will. So let's start in the top right, WIDA Screener. So anything that has to do with WIDA Screener, with English language learners, with access testing, WIDA Screener goes to 3 of us right now. So it's myself, Sarah, and Ben Kolash. You probably won't have much to do with the FastBridge assessments, but they are used for progress monitoring in high schools. If you have a staff member who is struggling with something, can't find it, don't know how to work, doesn't have access, you can email fast@madison.k12.wi.us. That gets you the following people. It gets you both Jamie, Sarah, and I. It gets you people in data and in improvement. Finally, I know our ninth graders are working now in Achieve 3000. So if there are any issues with Achieve 3000, other than, well, really the technical issues of connecting at the district level, connecting to the internet, that kind of stuff, you certainly can email us at Achieve, but that's also an IIQ thing. So Achieve at goes to someone, Therese, who is the curriculum side of the house, Nicole, who also supports the curriculum, but also kind of bridges the gap between assessment world and curriculum world, and then myself and Sarah. So even though IIQ is there, if you want to get to a bunch of us quickly and you want to get a quick turnaround on answers, you can either email us directly, but we prefer, especially for instance, with questions about English learners, WIDA Screener is the best way to do that. Again, new department. We have new office hours. Same time, but different link. So the Research Assessment and Improvement Department, Mondays 2 to 3. Here's the Google Meet link. It's also in the agenda, and we'll post that on the improvement, the coordinators page. Again, it's always covered by somebody in our department, and we are typically, if I'm not in the meeting or Sarah's not in the meeting, Jamie's not in the meeting, we're all usually available by chat. So whoever's there can chat one of us, and we'll connect with you and hop on if we have a question that we can answer and that they can't. So please feel free. Very low key. We kind of just hang out waiting for you to come and ask questions. So that's the office hours for our department. Okay, what is currently active and what's in the field right now? We know that Achieve 3000 is open. The window closes on September 29th. Again, if you have any issues with rostering, administration, etc., please email Achieve at and get that taken care of. Right now, I'm not hearing a whole lot of questions at the high school level. So I'm hoping that everything is working and functioning as it should. So if there are issues, things that come up, please don't hesitate to connect with us on that. Remember, this email goes to both people on the curriculum in the C&I department and in our new research assessment and improvement department. So hopefully we can answer your questions between all of us. We also know that every year civics test opens up. It is ready to roll. I will be emailing. I'm working with Marty Moe to make sure everything is in place. I will be emailing you as well as the department chairs to share a link for this year with you. Once again, you may decide that I think this is one of the things that we talked about last year is when we do the pre-ACT secure test in the morning. This might be something that we can do in the afternoon. It won't take up class time, etc. That is completely something at the school level that is a decision for you. This will be open as soon as I send this out to everyone. So hopefully in the next few days, we'll be getting that to you. Let's see, this is not, 2023 is not an election year. So this will remain open through the end of through the summer. And the next time we'll take it down is when we have an election. So let me just quick check this out. Yeah, so Ben's question in the chat is, when do other schools give the civics test? So I'm going to open this up.
And my thinking is that, we have the opportunity with pre-ACT to connect more testing, but do we want to? It's worked with us to do it with social studies classes at the beginning of second semester. And that's after elections, anything. I know it's not a national election year, but typically it just allows everything to reset and all the information to be new. What are other people doing?
And just so you know, as soon as I said it out loud that we could do this after the pre-ACT secure, my mind immediately said, "Whoa, that's kind of silly. You're going to be, giving kids tests all day." So just so you know that I'm aware of what I said.
At Capital, we've been really happy using our social studies teachers and going through that department. And we actually test our 10th graders, but yep, usually in the springtime after the elections.
At West, our social studies teachers essentially take the lead on this, so I can't give you a concrete answer of our administration date. I just looked at my assessment schedule for specific to West, and it doesn't even have any dates listed yet for the civics exam. So, I mean, if we could have a unified decision on this, that would be great.
This is one of those things, because it really is an anytime during your high school career kind of an assessment. I am not going to push at all on this is when the district says you have to take it, because it needs to really work for each of your buildings. So for instance, at Shabazz, Elizabeth, you may be saying, no, we're going to do it on this date and this works for us. And I don't want to be someone who comes in and said, no, you have to do it over here, because it needs to work for your students, for your staff, and for your building schedule. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate that. So let's move on. Okay, let's move into the world of AP. We have been working with our AP coordinators, and so there are some changes this year, but just wanted to make sure that you're aware of them. And so Sarah, obviously, if you feel like I'm missing something, please jump in and let me know. First of all, AP registration is now open. It was opened on September 11th, and it will go through the 22nd of November. Let me start again. It'll go through the 22nd of October, which is a Sunday evening. So prices have increased. Our costs for the Aligned Energy Center have more than doubled in less than 2 years. And so we have the whole idea for the district is to break even. We were far from that this past year, so we have had to raise the price of our exam cost by $15. So the costs have increased. So on a standard or regular exam, it's $125 per exam. If you take either AP Seminar or AP Research, that is going to be $160 per exam. As you would hope, as that you would expect, any student who's on free and reduced, the cost will be continued to be covered by the district, so they will not have to do anything. Several steps. First of all, students should be in the process of registering right now. Information was sent out in the family newsletter from the district. We've been sharing information with the AP coordinators. The address, the web address where students go for registering is listed here. We use a vendor called APTS, and they're APTS USA. The deposit is $40 per exam. So that is what you have to start with. Most districts in the United States actually require the full payment of the exam up front. It's my personal opinion that there are so many costs associated with the startup of school for families that is something I do not want to add on to them. Imagine you have all the other expenses, and then your child is taking 4 AP exams. That's a huge chunk of change. And so they can reserve their spot and hold it and make a payment prior to February. So I just need to make sure that, let's see, the date that's here should be 22nd of October.
And I updated the slide deck with the correct
Okay.
dates. And there's also a link in the meeting agenda that has all of the details that Tim's discussing now, and those have the proper dates in them.
Thanks, Sarah. Also, I just want you to know that, again, this is takes place the first 2 full weeks in May. So this year it's May 6th through the 17th. The following week is the makeup or late exams. The location of the regular or standard exams, the May 6th through the 17th, will be at the Aligned Energy Center this year. And we'll get more information to you about getting students there. I'm working on transportation already because I know that has not gone smoothly in the past. Hopefully with construction moving ahead, there will be more familiar places that we can have students catch the bus. So here is a change in how we're doing things. In the past, when students have registered for an exam, they are within 24 hours, they would get what's called an exam code. They would go into My AP and enter that, and then it activates the fact that they're taking the AP whatever exam. It's a lot of emails. It's a lot of things spread out over time. So we're going to try something new this year. So the deadline to actually activate and to you'll get this registration done. We're going to go in and beginning the week of October 23rd, we're going to email all students and say, Tim, here are your 3 exams, and here's the 3 join codes that you have for those. And so you will have approximately 72 hours. So you'll have 3 days in order to enter that. So we're going to then really work with the coordinators, all AP teachers, and just make sure that there are plenty of communications out there that students know that they have to get that taken care of. So, Sarah, I apologize that things don't necessarily look exactly as they should, but anything else you want to add?
That's okay. I've updated the slide deck, not the one that Tim's currently presenting, but the one that you have linked that have the correct dates. So the deadline to activate their exam will actually be October 29th. And then AP coordinators and I will help clean up the system after the 29th, make sure that there's any stragglers get into My AP. So we're going to make sure that students are not left behind if they don't meet that deadline, but we're hoping to have everything clean by mid-November. So if you have questions about AP registration, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at any time. If your teachers need clarification, we're always looking to improve communication. So you'll find a full link to all the information that AP coordinators have received in the agenda, but please don't hesitate to reach out if any further information would be helpful.
Thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the ACT and pre-ACT secure information for this year. I know it's very early, but we've got a lot of things, a lot of moving parts, so we want to make sure we at least have this conversation. So we are looking at doing the ACT online this year. The window for this looks a little different than the window for the pencil and paper assessment. The start date is exactly the same. So our junior only day is lining up to be March 12th. That would be the day that we really put the effort into making sure that we get everything, as many students taking the ACT as possible. It will be the same platform that we used last year for the pre-ACT secure. So it's not anything new. It's just that the ACT has been linked. So again, ahead of time, there will be the non-test information that students will have to go and create a My ACT account not to be confused with My AP. They'll have to create a My ACT account, enter all that information in, and on test day, again, there will be the same kind of process as there was for the pre-ACT Secure. So standard administration and accommodations will be on these particular days. So if you take a look at the calendar, the 12th is a Tuesday, 15th is a Friday, the 18th is the following Monday, and then we've got through the 22nd, so which is the following Friday. So it is just under 2 weeks. We know that, for instance, things that should start happening shortly, right, is actually you can begin to apply for ACT accommodations through the TAA process. I'll make sure that everybody has access to the success.act.org website. And that's where you can we'll double check and make sure that we've got everybody in. You can dig into information there as well as timelines, etc. I know it's early for that. You probably don't want to be thinking about it, but because we're going to be doing this online, that is going to be a change that I want to just highlight and make sure that we have that on our minds. We're going to be meeting with tech services on Thursday. That would be tomorrow. And so that conversation is also going to be beginning there. There are 3 windows that yes, Ben, go ahead.
Question, because now it's a window and we don't have, we're going to do our March 12th date, but it really doesn't make a lot of sense for us to even go into the makeup window if we can do our kids for the first time during that March 12th through March 22nd window. We could be done with ACT and moved on to pre-ACT and not have to worry about doing a makeup date for ACT because we don't have to reorder materials and do all that stuff. Am I
That's
on point with that?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. There would be probably for the makeup window. If you when you're doing the online version, if you don't do it within that first window, that 12th through the 22nd, the ticket that you would have for students would no longer be good. So we'll have to go back and print new tickets for those students who will be taking it in either of the other 2 windows. The second window is actually like the week starts the Tuesday before our spring break. And so it really isn't viable. But if that's something you can say, I know this student's coming in on Tuesday, we can certainly do that. So yes, we don't have to order new materials. If a student does not take the test during the first window, it's still there waiting for them. It just is a new ticket and a new login process. So yes, one of the things that I've also been hearing, and I think I've shared this with most of you, but students seem to do better on the writing portion of the test. And this is anecdotal, and so it may be all wrong, but they seem to do better on the writing portion of the test than when they're doing it keyboarding than when they're doing it longhand. We'll find out. We'll see. We'll get some responses from students and staff after we go through this. But I'm confident that we will be able to support you and get this to work just as the pre-ACT did, and hopefully better.
So one more question: the pre-bubbling or the joining my ACT, knowing that these kids mostly have taken the pre-ACT, does that register them in my ACT because they did my ACT for pre-ACT, or do we have to do it with every junior again?
That's a great question. I'll find out. It would make sense to do it the way you described, but working with state agencies and with a vendor like ACT doesn't mean that it's going to make the actual answer is going to make any sense. But that's a question we'll find out the answer to, whether that information from pre-ACT. The demographics doesn't change. Obviously, you might want to edit the address, the career interests would change potentially. But my guess is that right now, if I had to say this, I would guess that they would have to do it all over again. However, we'll make the case that they should just be able to go in and edit their profile rather than to take all the time to do everything again. So, so yes, we have the two windows, and as I suggested, the makeup window, we're not locked into this. We have 3 opportunities to do the ACT, but the makeup window that makes sense would be after spring break. Now, pre-ACT comes into play here. The pre-ACT window actually opens on the 18th of March. So, not only are we have 1 week with just the ACT, and then there's the potential of the pre-ACT overlapping for the rest of the entire windows because the pre-ACT goes through the end of April. So there's a big window for pre-ACT. There's specific windows for ACT, and they do overlap the majority of the time. So that's something to think about. Yeah, I don't think we want to do anything that involves testing both of them on the same day, which is a possibility, but because of staffing and because the way we have rooms set up to best support students, I am going to say we're not going to even, you never heard it from me. So let's move on. And of course, if you have questions about any of this, please feel free to ask. So pre-ACT to secure. Again, standard window and accommodations. The window opens on the 18th of March. So that's approximately a week and a half or so before our spring break. The 26th of April is when the window closes. Again, this is all online. It uses the same platform that we used last year and as the ACT will have used just prior to this. Now, I think we've been tossing around a bunch of dates. We had started with something like I want to say the first Tuesday in April, but that's the day after we come back from spring break. And so we kind of said, no, not so much. And then we talked about the 9th of April, which turns out to be not a good day because that's the end of Ramadan. The evening of the 9th into the 10th is Eid al-Fitr. Now, please make sure that you understand that the day that the school board said is a non-testing day is starting at the evening of the 9th, at sunset on the 9th of April, and it goes all the way through the following day. Regardless, we know that our students who are observing Ramadan will not be in any, this is the end of Ramadan, so they are going to be the least focused on testing that they will be that entire month. So I've been in contact with Ennis Harvey, and his request is, okay, so what dates are you looking at? And I said, we could do a lot of different things. So I'm going to propose a couple dates to you via email so that we get this out here. But if you've been thinking about this, about which day we're going to do a freshman sophomore only day, again, focusing on this assessment, giving it the time, giving our staff the ability to support students as best they need to, keeping in mind also that we would like to have some time built in for makeups, so that last week in April, that the 26th is falls on, that's a Friday. That's probably not where we want to be as a district to start. The week before might actually be a good place. That's later than I like, but it might actually be the best place for us. So I'm going to just take a pause and see if there are any comments, any questions, any concerns and thoughts. And if not, we'll just keep rolling. I'd like to have this kind of locked in the next, 4/16. Thank you. Thanks, Ben. So 4/16, April 16th, it does give us that full week. and then the following week to actually do the assessment and then the makeups. Keeping in mind, students with accommodations can start at any time. So they could start, 9th and 10th graders could theoretically start on the 18th of March. Because if they have, for instance, extended time over extended days, that's something that they can do. So just because we say freshman, sophomore only day is April 16th, doesn't mean that's when we have to start the accommodations. So here's what I'm going to do. And I don't know if my wait time is long enough, but I will take that. I will share that all to you, with you. I would appreciate it if you would have some short conversation with your head principal so that they can add in things. I would like it if you could check on your school calendar. Do you have major events going on around that time frame, 16th of April? And then if we can get back, today is Wednesday, I'll get you that email today with things to think about. If you could get back to me by Monday, that would be great. And then we'll get this locked up and out to you and out to students and staff and families as soon as we possibly can. Okay, moving on. Just some items of note. There is information in the agenda about data use. There's a critical screener data analysis protocol. So as we move forward and are talking more about what data we have in support of our school improvement plans and that process, please note that there's information out there available. This protocol is something that is pretty easy to follow, and our department would be happy to help you out if you need to have somebody facilitate a meeting like this. Probably several of you have used this already at some point. Other items of note, just a reminder, the board, MMSD board, school board has a policy that allows families to opt out of assessments if they so choose. Also keep in mind that the access for ELL's assessment, which will be coming up in December through January, is not on the table for an opt-out. Federal legislation says can't opt out. It doesn't mean families can't say, I'm going to decline to test, which is one of the options that we have to fill in. If you get families who are saying, no, I don't want my child to take the standardized test, it must be in a written format. It cannot be a phone call. It cannot be a voicemail, etc. It needs to be a written document. It can be an email. It can be a handwritten note. I've accepted, when push comes to shove, screenshots of texts with families, because sometimes that's the only way we have of connecting with them. I'd prefer not to have it that way, but if that's the only way we can get that information from families, then that's what we'll do. The note needs to be specific. If families are going to say, no, I'm going to opt out of the ACT, my child already took it, and I don't want them to, they got a 33 and I don't want to mess with that. Okay. I'm respecting that, but it needs to be in writing. Once you have that digital or written version, if you've got a written document, if you can just scan that, if you send that to both myself and Jamie Anderson, we're going to be taking care of and keeping track of all the opt-outs for each of the assessments this year. The reason is I need to report this to the school board. It is a state mandate that happens. And so I need to get this to the school board, usually in early to mid-June. So I know that it gets really pretty crazy around the time of pre-ACT, and you're dealing with hundreds of students. You're trying to track them down. If you keep track of things on a spreadsheet, and you end up saying, this student opted out. The only way I know that is if you share that spreadsheet or the opt-out with us. So as we get closer, we'll spend more time talking about that. But I just wanted to remind you that that is out there. It is something that needs to be written and not verbal. Coming soon to a school near you is the Climate and Culture Survey. We do this twice a year now. The window this fall is October 9th through November 3rd. It's really important for you and your school, the data that you're collecting is what part of it that goes into the school improvement plan process. That's one of those non-academic data points. This is really important information. Last year in the fall, all the high schools did wonderfully. So the idea is that all students will have choice or have an opportunity to provide this feedback. The spring, not so much. And I know that's a really busy time, but I want to bring that up right now. We've got this survey coming up in fall and spring, and that is something that can easily be used to help wind up your school improvement plan for this particular academic year. Keep in mind, let's see, what else do we have on the horizon? So a little bit further long term, I know that the spring climate survey is long term, but we've got access and alternate access. This year is the third year, and every 3 years we do a Dane County Youth Assessment survey. This is one of the years. As we get a little bit closer, next month we're going to start talking about specific times when this will be available. But here is the critical piece I just want to share with you, because it's always a question of, okay, so how does this help me? It's taking time from our day, instructionally, etc. Thanks, Ben. Hope you have a good day. It's really this particular data point. These data points actually are used to write grants for you to develop and support programs across the district, but especially at high schools, to support our students who have any kind of need that arises. And so DCYA is a critical data collection point. We'll be talking more about that. Finally, on the horizon is the APPLE, which is world language and SEAL by literacy, and we'll be working with department chairs on that as well. Okay, we're going to just end with our email addresses. So if you have any questions or concerns, please contact us. You can do that directly. You can do it through one of those other emails like WIDA screener at, etc. And so I am going to stop presenting and stop recording.